Morning guys, so lower body session on the menu this morning. What's that going to entail? So we're going to kick off with some power cleans, which are fast becoming my favourite movement. Then we're going to roll into some back squats. Now back squats are significant. At the end of August, which is in about 5 weeks time, I've got ATHX competition with my good mate Gavlar. And that's going to involve a 5 rep max back squat. So that's a movement I've been pushing to progress. We're going to go into some lower body accessories. We're going to do some RDLs. We're going to do some reverse lunges, which are my favourite unilateral move. And then potentially, depending on time, we'll go into a bit of a spicy conditioning finisher. So follow along with me and let's get on with it. You'll see I've got 2 types of plates here in the garden gym. So over here, we've got the black box, more traditional bumper plates. They're great. They're pretty narrow, so we can stack the barbell with quite a lot of weight. And these ones are made out of reground car tires. So whenever I'm doing Olympic lifting, anything where I'm going to drop the barbell from a height, I tend to use these ones. They're a little bit thicker, a little bit harder to stack the barbell with, but they make significantly less noise when dropped. My poor neighbours are used to me waking them up early morning with lots of clattering and banging. So if I can reduce that noise a little bit more, we'll go for it. First set done. 60 kilos as a warm up. I'm not sure how high I'm going to push today. So as recorded on the app, my 2 rep max is 110 kilograms. If I feel good today, I might push to that 112 and a half, but we'll see. So I've deadlifted yesterday. I should have left a gap, but my week schedule means I've just got to squash my workouts in where I can. So depending on how my low back feels, will determine how hard we push these, but we'll roll with it. Let's Trying to keep these snappy. You'll notice the weights are moving. Perhaps I should get some clips. But we're feeling good, so we'll keep pushing. Maybe 95 kilos up next. Let's see. Probably about February. I've never power cleaned before. It's one of my favourite movements. And I find, so strength training, I'm used to. Kind of heavy back squats, heavy deadlifts, kind of heavy bench presses is something that I've tried my hand at over many years. Power movements, particularly Olympic lifting movements, I'd never really tried. Certainly until following the March On program. Never had the confidence, always had decided, oh, that's for other people, I'm a little bit too old for this. But as it appears on the program, for context, I follow the Perform program, I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. And one, I'm obsessed with how minute tweaks can make a massive difference to how you move. But 2, I feel more explosive as a result, more powerful. So when I'm doing things like running or squatting, I feel like I've got more punch to my movements. So I would implore anyone, doesn't matter how old you are, like work on some power. So power is strength by time. So try and be strong in an explosive way. Because I think it has great carryover, not only to your time in the gym, but how you move through life in general. So yeah, top tip, man. Anyway, 95 kilos, let's go. The biscuits, you know this. Whenever I talk to my clients, I'm like, we're gonna get the biscuits out. By biscuits, we mean little plates. That probably felt heavier than it should. Some days are like that. Right, so let's talk technique. So I am no expert on this movement. As I said, I'm quite new to it. The beauty of social media and its fitness network is I've had so many people message me and contact me with help on tips with this movement.
So a couple of ones that really resonated. If you think about the barbell path, I'm trying to move as much weight as possible into that catch position. Now, what you need to think about is the shortest direction of travel. So what that refers to is basically I want the barbell to move vertically up and down as best as is possible. If you have movements that arc in or out, that elongates the time that the barbell travels to the catch position. And also it kind of negates some of the force that you're pushing into the ground at trying to accelerate the barbell off the floor. Another top tip I've had is try and be patient on your pull. What I was doing previously, and I'm still, again, not an expert at this, I was going into a row with the barbell before I'd extended my hips. So I'm trying to stay as upright as possible, be super patient with my pull so that all of the force that goes into the floor can transfer into that catch position. And also, last tip, at that hip height, really shrugging them shoulders to keep the acceleration of the barbell as clean as possible. No expert, but we're learning.
That was 95 kilos. I think we'll jump to maybe 102.5. Take a smaller jump. I'm trying to conserve some energy. So we'll mix and match. I promise. Normally, my OCD doesn't let me do these things. I'm trying to be a little bit more loose and more limber around how I do things. So that's 1.25 there. Black box, if you're watching, feel free to shed pity on me. By the way, most of my stuff in this gym is black box equipment. I've got a pretty well stocked bunch of toys here. We've got dumbbells all the way up to 50s. Can't lie, those 50s don't come out that often, but when they do, it always feels good. All of my plates over that side, 150 kilos worth, are black box plates, as well as my barbells and the rig itself as well, which is pretty cool. So I feel very blessed, very fortunate to have access to all this stuff. But what that also means is, if my commute to the gym is just down the end of the garden, I've got zero excuses. 102.5 kilos. Good deadlift. So the trick is, yeah, that's a deadlift. So imagine trying to get that up here. It's no joke.
Last up we had 102.5, and that felt all right. So I didn't treat that as two singles like I had my warm-up sets. I tried to keep hold of that barbell and touch and go the second rep, and it felt pretty good. So we've gone up by 5 kilos across the bar. This is 107.5. If this goes well, I might try for a new PB at 112.5, but we'll play it by ear.
I felt like I caught it well on my right hand. My left wrist dropped a little bit low, so just about got away with it. For the benefit of the camera, let's go for a PB. We'll see what happens. It's amazing what putting yourself under a little bit of pressure can do. A little bit of chalk. If you're going for a PB, there's a couple of rules. You've got to re-chalk if you're going for a PB. It's a psychological thing. I'm a tiny bit happy with that. I was on the fence as to whether that second rep would be in the bag. Then I remembered I'm being recorded. It's amazing the kick up the arse that can give you. Lots of grunting and groaning when I train. Have some tough conversations with myself. Sometimes I get angry at myself. Sometimes I coerce myself gently. But I find the ways that I hype myself up for a big lift are the same kind of ways that I hype myself up for any challenge in life, really. And I think pushing performance hard in the gym has kind of given me a bit of a roadmap of how to dig deep and increase output across my life. So we've got 140. I want to hit that for 4 reps. Low back's a little bit tight today, so I deadlifted yesterday. I'd never normally have a deadlift day and then a back squat day. I think, as I referenced earlier, time's tight this week, so I'm just trying to squash it all in. That felt miles heavier than it should have, but that happens. Good days and bad days. What lifting I can do. Counting tends to be a bit of a weak point for me. I personally think I'm lex discic and undiagnosed, but no, seriously, I thought I had 140 kilos on the barbell. I didn't. It was 150 kilos, which makes me feel a bit better about how difficult it felt. So my all-time 5 RM or 5 rep max is 175.5 kilos, and that was set early this year after a real big block of back squatting. I'd love to beat that. The reality is that's not going to happen in time for ATHX, and that's cool. Hopefully I'll do well at ATHX and I'll be in the finals, which will be in December, and that's when I want to be punching harder and beating that 175. So 150 for 4 just boxed off, which I'm happy with. Biscuits are back out. Let's go for 155. Up. Ooh. Ah. Right, for our accessory work, we have a superset of snatch grip, so wide grip barbell RDLs for 6 reps, and then we're going to go into, and I'll check the rep scheme, some reverse lunges. You'll notice I've loaded the bar as follows: 20, 15, 5. The heaviest on the inside, descending to the lightest, or descending to the lightest. Anyone that doesn't load their barbell in that way is crazy. And if you don't load your barbell in that way, it's a fact, the universe will go in on itself. So just a top tip, load your barbells properly, Pete.
So, first up is our RDL. It's a hip hinge movement. We're going to really load into those hamstrings with a relatively straight leg. So a limiting factor on a movement like this can be grip. Same with regular deadlifts, same with rows. What I tend to do is hook grip. So let's have a look at what hook grip looks like. We want to wrap our fingers around the bar, but before we do, we're going to get our thumb in that position. And then we're going to use our fingers to lock our thumb in position. And the combination of the rotational torque between the barbell, rotating against that grip, is like glue. For me, that's my favorite way to grip a barbell. Causes a little bit of pain in the thumb, granted, you get used to it. But what that means is the mixed grip, which is another great way to hold heavy weight, is all good, but it's asymmetric. You're not in a symmetrical position. And I think we should strive for symmetry when we're doing a bipedal movement as much as possible. So bipedal, kind of symmetrical, feet stacked one next to the other. So yeah, hook grip. If you've not tried it, give it a go. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, 100 kilos, 6 reps. Then we're going to move into some reverse lunges. Let's go.
12 total reps. Wow. Up. There you go. Hour, 1 minute, hour of power, done and dusted. On to the next one. Oh, I'm happy with that now. Push some good numbers. So, as I approach every workout, I always have a goal in mind. In fact, let's get over to the board. For me, performance is everything. So many people start a fitness journey with an aesthetic goal in mind. Whenever I work with clients, I always get them to think deeply about what their goals are and kind of what that, as I described, what's your health and fitness destination? What does that look like? And I reckon 99 times out of 100, people talk about an aesthetic goal. I want to look a certain way, which leads into feeling a certain way, and I understand that. For me, how you look in the mirror is quite a subjective thing, man. Some days, when you're feeling on top of the world, what your reflection represents to you can be one thing. But other days, when you've got the world on your shoulders, perhaps stressed out through work, family stuff, just life in general, your perception of yourself in the mirror can be very different. So I think it's really important to kind of pivot to measurables to assess progress through performance, which is what I do. Now, as I said, I use the March On app, and it's brilliant for that. So today we've done our power cleans, and it's got a space where you record your lifts. And what that represents, I'll record today's lift. So my warm-up was at 60 kilos. Then we hit 2 reps, fat fingers, at 80 kilos. Then I hit 2 reps at 95 kilos. Then, what should have been my top set was 107.5 kilos. But today, maybe it's because I had a good meal last night. Maybe it's because I'm on camera and I'm super competitive with myself. We went for an additional set. So, today, we topped out at 112.5 kilos, which I'm really happy with. I'll plug that into the leaderboard, and I can assess where I sit against everyone else that's done the workout. As you can see, I'm first up, which gives everyone else something to aim at. Now, there's some absolute monsters on this program, but I'll tell you what, chasing them has massively brought out the best in me. And let's take a little look at my history. So this is my history of my lifts. Now you can see my previous 2 rep max is 110 kilos. So you're gonna have to excuse me while I celebrate today, because I just set a new PB, which for me means a lot. On the grand scale of things, it doesn't change anyone's lives, but I think it's important to have goals to aim at. So I can see by this data that I am making progress. That's not subjective. That's not dependent on how I feel when I look in the mirror. These are actual numbers. And I often think aesthetic goals are set because of mindset reasons. People want to feel better. Progress is what makes you feel better. Get some measurables, write down your workouts, give yourself targets, give yourself things to aim at. Surround yourself in a circle of people that push you, bring out the best in you, and yeah, you'll get that feel-good factor from progress instead of subjective things.